News 4 continues to follow that breaking news after two officers were hurt. The Sky Zoom 4 video you see is from South City, where the bike officers hit each other during a procession for a fallen officer. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Steve Savard. News 4 has learned that one of the officers hurt is with the St. Charles County Police Department, while the other serves in Webster Groves. Both were escorting the body of Officer Michael Langsdorf to a funeral home. The crash took place just after 3 at the intersection of Jamison and Lansdowne.
News 4's Kim St. Ange is live outside Barnes Jewish Hospital following new developments about the officer's injuries. Kim.
Both of those officers are being treated right here at Barnes Jewish. We just heard from the St. Charles County chief, who tells us both of them are expected to be okay. The St. Charles County officer received some pretty serious injuries. He actually hit his head when these two bikes collided, and it was actually a pretty incredible moment here. Of course, with these two officers being taken in by ambulance this afternoon, we saw well over 24 officers from all across the metro who were here in support of these two officers, and of course their wives are also here by their side as they are continuing to be treated. I want to take you back to the scene, give you an idea of what this looked like. Again, happened around 3 o'clock this afternoon on the south side of town on Chippewa. That's near Ted Drew's. Both officers riding motorcycles as part of that funeral procession for Officer Langsdorf this afternoon. Again, when they somehow clipped their bikes and went down. This video from Sky Zoom 4 really shows you how many officers rushed to their side to treat them before that ambulance pulled up. Both taken to Barnes, and police were able to block off a lot of the intersections to help them get the ambulances here quicker. The St. Charles County officer has been identified as Corporal Rob Bell. He has been with the department for 10 years, and like I mentioned, he took the hardest fall, really hit his head, and the chief says there's also a chance he may have broken his leg.
His wife is an officer, so that's a double issue. So, you know, this isn't a thing that they expect, and she's an officer with Winsfeld. So it's a double-edged sword. It could be the other way around with him coming to her. It's not just us, so we're glad nobody else was hurt, and we're very pleased that the officers are going to recover.
By the way, I asked the chief if the officer's wife, who is also an officer with Wensville, if she was part of that procession. He said no, she's fine, but again, is here. By the way, the Webster officer who was involved with this crash has not been identified. He is likely going to be released today, is what the St. Charles County chief is telling us. He says at this point, it looks like his officer will likely be here through the night getting treated. Live at Barnes, Kim St. Ange, News 4.